قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our Saturday night edition of Ask Zad, coming to you live between Maghrib and Isha, Mecca timing. As usual, we'll take a number of questions from the emails and then we'll take your phone calls. Sania says, is eating gourd from the Sunnah? The Imam in the Friday khutbah said you will be rewarded for eating pumpkin. Is this true? The Prophet ﷺ, as in the hadith of Anas ibn Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, used to love eating ad-dubba or al-qara', which is a pumpkin. And he used to search for it whenever food was presented to him and eat it. And scientists say that it has many benefits in it as food, and it's a cure for a lot of illnesses. So yes, this is part of what the Prophet ﷺ used to love. But is it a sunnah or not? The answer is no. A sunnah, by definition, is something that the Prophet ﷺ said or did or approved. And there's a fourth type, which is the physical description of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the sunnah. So, did the Prophet ﷺ ever recommended us to eat it? Did he ever say that if you do so, then you will go to Jannah or you will be rewarded as such? No. So it is a human thing, part of the things that the Prophet loves ﷺ as a human being and not as a messenger. Like the fact that he used to ride on mule and camelback. Like the fact he used to wear a certain type of attire. No one comes today and says, no, you have to wear exactly what the Prophet ﷺ used to wear, because this is what the Arabs used to wear at the time. So it's not related to Islam. Likewise, the Prophet ﷺ did not like to eat the lizard, the desert lizard, what we call in Arabic ad-dabb. So not eating it is not part of the sunnah for us. If someone wants to eat it, he can do so. And this is why when Khalid ibn al-Walid, may Allah be pleased with him, ate from it in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ, after the Prophet had refrained from it, the Prophet ﷺ did not comment on that, did not say, you should not have done that. No, it's a permissible thing. The Prophet himself did not like it, so he refrained from it. So we have to differentiate between what is considered to be part of the sunnah and what is cultural. Akbar says, is it true that the number of women in hell will be greater than men, and that the reason behind this is not the greater overall population of women compared to men, but the greater sins of women than men? As far as the majority of the people of hellfire, this is true. The Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith, O women folk, give a lot in charity, because I've seen you the majority of the people of hellfire. And he explained that the vast majority of the women are in hell due to one of their major sins, which is being ungrateful to their husbands, expressing their ingratitude, not being appreciative of whatever their husbands do to them. And this is why they are the vast majority of the people of hell. However, this doesn't mean that they are a minority in paradise, which is an issue of dispute. But a number of companions used to consider that the women are also the majority of the people of paradise, either because in population, the number of women is usually greater than the number of men. This is why on earth, a man can marry up to 4 women. This is why we see in front of us that the demand for women is far less than the supply of women. So if I were to get married, I have a whole range to choose from. But it's not the other way around, because the amount of women is greater than the amount of men. And the Prophet told us, at the end of time, a man would be the guardian, the custodian, the safekeeper of 50 women, 50, which means that the men are less in number. Men die much more than women due to wars, to accidents, and people get more girls than boys of their offspring. This is how Allah Azza wa Jal made things to be. So some of the companions, such as Abu Hurairah, etc., say that every man has 2 women in paradise, which means that they think that the women are the majority, whether they are humans or including the Hur al-Ain, and this is in Allah's knowledge. Suhail says, can a person go out of his home after having intercourse without taking ghusl? Some people say that we should not go out without ghusl because jinn may attack. Please clarify. No, this is totally wrong. This has no basis to it. A person can leave home without having his ghusl, can leave home in the state of janaba, can eat in the state of janaba, can go to bed in the state of janaba. It is recommended that he breaks this state by performing wudu. That's it. But if he doesn't, yes, he can go and do shopping, do whatever he wants, and come back. Is it the best scenario? No, but there is no prohibition in it. Finally, Adiba says, I have heard that yawning is prohibited when you're praying because that's from shaitan. But it happens mostly with me that I yawn while praying. How can I overcome this? Or is it okay? And is my salat, is my prayer valid if I yawn? This was the instruction of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet said, ﷺ, when one of you is praying and has the urge to yawn, he has to suppress it as much as possible. How do you suppress yawning? Some scholars say that you bite your lower lip so that you don't open your mouth and yawn freely. And the Prophet said, if one was overwhelmed, I have this urge to yawn and I cannot suppress it, then he should cover it with his hand. He should cover his mouth with his hand. So this has no impact, none whatsoever, on your prayer, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. So we go to your calls. Faizan from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Rahim Allah walidayk wa ghafar Allah lak, Sheikh.
Ameen, and you as well. What can I do for you, Faizan?
Sheikh, my question was that what happened once was that I went into sujood and I felt as if my back got slightly uncovered, but I was not sure, so I did not do anything. When I got up from sujood, I realized that it had got uncovered. So, is my prayer valid?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Taimur from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
So many countries in the subcontinent, they usually, when they have a parade, like a military parade or something, they play the recitation of the Quran like during the parade. Is this innovation?
I cannot comprehend your question. Are you talking about an individual or the congregation?
I'm talking about the whole country. Usually, when they have a military parade,
A military parade, okay.
Yes, when they have a military parade, they play the Quran recitation. Is this innovation?
Okay, so while the parade is going on, instead of marches and drums and the likes, they play the Quran.
Yes.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah, Taimur. Muhammad from Pakistan.
Are you listening, sir?
Muhammad from Pakistan.
Yes, sir. Are you listening, sir?
You are asking, you're calling.
Yes, sir.
Yes, what's your
Sir,
question, Muhammad?
I have question. I have posed question previous episode, but you not answer and you give philosophy. I ask question about the kalma, and you say that a kalma is mentioned, but kalma is not mentioned. You not give a right philosophy. I need reference where is mentioned La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
Are you talking about La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and that you have to put ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah?
Yes.
We have spoken about this, akhi, so many times, and it is a waste of time. Get over it. Islam is not only about the problem of putting ashhadu with Muhammadur Rasulullah. Is he or is he not Muhammadur Rasulullah? Yes, he is. So if I say Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this is a statement. Get over it. Get a life, akhi. Don't waste your time, waste the time of the Muslims on Facebook, on Twitter, and whatever you see, as if it's a witch hunt. Trying to make it an innovation, try to make an issue out of it. And when it comes to La ilaha illallah, I said, no. La ilaha illallah is okay. You don't have to say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Okay. Muhammad Rasulullah, you have to put ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. This is ridiculous. This is a waste of time. Get a life. Properly read the Quran, learn Arabic, do something that is useful for you and for the ummah, for Allah's sake. Arfan from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, just a question. I saw one of the Dai video. I just want to check authenticity of this one. He's saying that, in your normal life, when you get to, do so many things like, shall I do this or shall I not do this? There's a small form of istikhara or dua, which you can say like, Allahumma khirli waqtirli. Is that true? I mean, like, for example, do I need to make a coffee?
Okay.
Or shall I make a tea?
I will answer you, inshallah, Arfan. Abdul Aziz from Sri Lanka.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam to Allah.
Sheikh, my question is, what is the best deed one can do to get his dua answered?
This is too generic, Abdul Aziz. I will try to answer you. And we have Inshrem from Australia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam to Allah.
I was wondering what is the ruling on reading the Quran out loud in the masjid. Sometimes there are people and they sit like 2, 3, 4 of them, and they're all, reciting louder than the next person. And then when I try to recite or read off my phone quietly.
Got it. I'll answer, inshallah. Muhammad from the US.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I wanted to know, the people who, deliver food.
Okay.
They work as only the delivery driver, where, they pick up the food from the restaurant and drop it off to the, destination. So is it halal? Because, most of the restaurants, they don't sell halal food. And some of them do also have, in the food, pork or something.
Okay, I will answer, inshallah. Muhammad from the Philippines.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Hi, Sheikh.
I'm doing great, alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm fine, Sheikh, alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir.
My question, Sheikh, how does one pray qasr if a traveler is staying for a while in a place that has a nearby masjid? Jazakallah khair.
وجزاك. And we have Farzana from Australia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
I'm wondering, what is the official Islamic viewpoint on science? Because
What
some
kind of
Muslims-
science?
Just general everyday science, you know, what you learn at school, because some Muslims have said to me that you can't believe in God and science at the same time, and I don't know how to respond to them. Because
Okay.
I learning believing in God.
I'll answer you, inshallah. Nashim from the Philippines.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
Mabuti, alhamdulillah.
I have one question, Sheikh. Many of the Muslims here, Sheikh, they always took a picture of a bride in wedding and they play some music background. This kind of a wedding, Sheikh, is it permissible in Islam?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Shihab from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, I entered the masjid and find the imam on ruku. So I joined the imam, and just the moment I went to the ruku, the imam says Sami Allahu liman hamida. So I get confused that whether I get the rakah or not. So what to do when I am confused that I get the rakah or not?
I will answer you, inshallah. Mehwish from the US.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, I know of a person who is very angry at Allah for unanswered prayers. It's to the point where they are about to leave prayer altogether because they feel like, what's the point? So any advice or reminders for them? Jazakumullahu khairan.
وجزاكم. And we have Abdurrahman from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
I'd like to ask about tahleel, the issue of halala. I want you to enlighten us with the issue of this.
So let me understand this correctly. You're asking about a man who divorced his wife 3 times and she became haram for him. So he wants her to marry someone else so that he can divorce her. Then she goes back to her first husband. I would consider this to be a yes. Okay. Amir from India. Amir.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, does Al-Khallaq, the beautiful name of Allah, means the one who has the ability to continuously create, or does it mean the one who continuously creates? If I take the first meaning, then it's easier for me to understand the name even when there was no creation and he had not created anything, because he always possesses the ability to create and he wills it whenever he wants. But if I take the second meaning, then I'm not able to comprehend it, as in when there was no creation and Allah was by himself. So how can he be known as the one who continuously creates? Or is there something entirely different explanation? Jazakallahu khair.
Wa jazakum. And Fidan from Turkey.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, is wearing caps and gowns kufur by any scholarly opinion due to imitating priests and monks?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Is wearing caps and gowns kufur by any scholarly opinion due to imitating priests and monks?
Due to imitating what?
The priests and monks.
I don't understand these 2 words.
The Christians.
The priests.
Yeah, the priests and monks.
And monks. So you're asking about the cap?
Yes. The caps and gowns. Is it kufur?
Okay. And we have Ala from Turkey. Ala from Canada.
Yeah, this is Alauddin from Canada. I have 2 sons. One is become atheist, another is following atheism. Though they are born and brought up in Kuwait. Now the question about, can I distribute my property among those or no?
Okay. And we have Kamil from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
The hadith of 7 matters besides fighting, one of them is a person who has stomachache, usually relating to cancer disease. How about a person who died because brain cancer is categorized one of them?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
وجزاك. Abdulaziz from the UK.
Sheikh, oh, sorry, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, good to see you again, after Ramadan. And
Barakallah feek. This is the third week, akhi. You missed 2 weeks after Ramadan.
Yeah, subhanallah, yeah. Just haven't been back. And I really like the new glasses, Sheikh.
Barakallah feek. What can I do for you?
So, Sheikh, how long is there actually to pray Maghrib in his prescribed time? Because, yeah, the problem is I just don't exactly know myself. I've always got this notion from my family that there's always been, around like 20 minutes or something like that. I don't know that,
Okay.
Yeah, it may vary from region to region and stuff, but I'm just asking about the time when the prescribed time ends.
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. So Abdulaziz was our last caller. I don't think we have a break, do we? Don't think so. Not now, at least. So Faizan from India says, he was praying, and while he was in ruku' or in sujood, he felt some breeze hitting his back, and he was afraid that part of his awrah, his t-shirt, was raised a bit, and part of his backside was exposed. But he wasn't certain. When he raised up, it was clear to him that it was exposed. So he's saying, is my prayer valid? The answer is yes. When awrah, that is between the navel and your knees, is exposed temporarily, unintentionally, and you do what is needed to cover it once you are certain of it, then your prayer is valid. Because this is not intended and it did not last for a long time. Unlike someone who prayed, for example, and after finishing 4 rak'ahs, he discovered that his whole backside, awrah, thighs and buttocks and the whole 9 yards was exposed. He said, whoa, your prayer is invalid. Even if you did not know it, you have to go and pray because it was exposed for a long period of time of the salat. But to expose a part of it, and this happens a lot with women. So she's praying and then she sees a strand of her hair. This is awrah. So does she need to break her prayer and restart it all over again? The answer is no. She can just simply fix it and cover it, and that does the job. Taimur says, in a military parade, some countries, while the soldiers are marching and they are displaying their tanks and their weapons and military power, they play the Quran instead of playing music. This is not permissible. Why, Sheikh? It's a Quran. This is a mistake which is very common that people do. So when they put you on hold in some companies, you hear the Quran randomly being recited. And in the middle of the word or of the ayah, when somebody picks up that hold call, the ayah is interrupted. And you did not understand when it began and when it ended. This is disrespecting the Quran, because it is not placed and it's not put with the intention of people benefiting from it. Rather, it is a substitute to music. And this is not permissible. Yes, you don't want to put music, put any advertisement of the company. Put your corporate ad or corporate film or something that has no music. It talks about your industry. In military parades, it's the same thing. Nobody's listening to the Quran. They're watching, they're enjoying, they're clapping, they're talking, they're commenting, while the Quran is in the background, and this is disrespectful. Irfan from the UK, he says there is a da'iyah who says that we should say, Allahumma khirli wa khtarli, meaning that we should say this instead of reciting the whole dua after praying 2 rak'ahs of istikhara. And this short form is to be done in day-to-day errands. So I want to go and buy a loaf of bread. So I say, Allahumma khirli wa khtarli, or the likes. No, this is not from the Sunnah at all. This is an innovation. If it is, as the da'iyah said, to be said every time you do this, no. You either pray istikhara or not. And to have something in between and consider this to be something from the Sunnah is definitely not true. Abdul Aziz from Sri Lanka, he asked a general question and he said, what is to be done in order to get our dua answered? Akhi, it doesn't work like this. There isn't any such a thing that when you say it, it's answered. It's not a genie in a lamp, you rub it and it comes out and answers your 3 wishes. No, you are begging Allah. You are expressing your poverty and humility to Allah, not demanding on Allah to answer you. And this is the biggest mistake most of us do when we make dua, thinking that, what is wrong? And this is similar to Mehwish question when she says that someone is angry. I get a lot of questions like this from imbeciles, from ignorant imbeciles, writing it without any form of shame. Why is Allah not responding to me? I've done all what I can. Why isn't He protecting me from pornography or from masturbation? I don't understand. Why is He doing this to me? Who are you talking about? You can't say this to your headmaster in school. You can't say this to your CEO in the company. You can't say this to your prime minister or your ruler or even a police officer, let alone Allah Azza wa Jal. So this type of impoliteness, this type of attitude is definitely not going to help you in this life nor in the hereafter. You don't dictate, oh Allah, tell me what you want so that you can answer my prayer. So should I sacrifice a camel? Should I do this? Well, what? I want this thing. So tell me what is it? No. You have to reverse it by always feeling broken, feeling the humility, feeling the poverty to Allah's wealth and support and guidance. And if you do this, this would definitely increase your chances of being answered. Not, okay, Allah, I want this following thing. By the way, last week I did Umrah and I visited the masjid in Medina and I completed reciting the Quran and I gave $1,000 in charity. So yeah, we're late on time. I hope that you answer my prayer soon. Ameen. No, it doesn't work like this. Secondly, you want your dua to be answered, make sure that your provision and whatever you consume is halal. Because Allah does not answer those whose income is from haram. Even if they're traveling, even if they have dusted hair, even if they raise their hands, saying, Ya Rab, calling Allah with His beautiful names and attributes. As long as their provision is haram, they eat haram, they drink haram, they wear from haram, Allah would not respond to them. You have to select the appropriate times for dua. So we know that there are blessed locations. If you go to the haram next to the Kaaba and make dua, you are closer to Allah. If you do your dua during tawaf or during sa'i, you are closer to Allah. If you do it during the last third of every single night, when Allah descends to the lower heaven and He says, is there anyone asking me to give him? Is anyone making dua so I would respond to him? Is anyone seeking forgiveness so I'd forgive him? So this is a blessed time. you should make dua when it is in the sujood, because the more you do it in the sujood, the closer you are to Allah. When it is raining, between adhan and iqamah, and among so many things that would definitely add value to your dua and your chances of being answered, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu said that a man came to the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and said, O Messenger of Allah, poverty has struck me. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent a messenger to one of his wives to bring something for that man to eat. But she said, by the one who sent you with the truth, I only have water. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam sent to another one of his wives to bring something for the man to eat. But she said the same, until all of them said the same thing. Then Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, who will take this one as a guest in exchange for Allah's mercy? A man from the Ansar said, I will, O Messenger of Allah. So he took the man to his home and said to his wife, treat the guest of the Messenger of Allah well. She said, by Allah, we have nothing except the meal for my children. He said, get the food ready and light the lamp and put your children to sleep. If they ask for dinner, then when the guest enters, dim the lamp and make it seem as if we are eating. And when he reaches for the food to eat, then stand up to the lantern and turn it off. She got the food ready, turned the lamp on, and put the children to sleep. She then went to the lamp as if she was fixing it and turned it off. Then they pretended as they were eating, and they both went to sleep hungry. In the morning, the man from the Ansar went to Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who said, Allah has laughed, implying his acceptance to the deed from your actions last night. Then Allah revealed his saying, which means, and they give them preference over themselves, even though they were in need of that. Reported by Al-Bukhari and Muslim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Instagram from Australia says, what's the ruling on some people, some folks, reading the Quran loudly in the masjid? This is a very unfortunate phenomena. When you enter a masjid, especially before Jum'ah, you hear sounds in the masjid as if it's a beehive. Everybody's reading the Quran. This is okay. When you sit and the man next to you is reading Surah Al-Kahf and the one to your left is reading the same surah, and you can distinguish the words, you can't read on your own. It's difficult, if it's not impossible. The only way to counter that is to raise your own voice so that you don't hear theirs. And this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ prohibited. He once came to the masjid or to a gathering of the companions when they were raising their voices in order to hear themselves rather than being distracted by those next to them. Whether it was dua or Quran, or he said to them, Ya ayyuhan nas arbi'u. Another way of saying it, irba'u. O people, take it easy among yourselves, for you're not calling someone who's absent and deaf or far. You're calling someone who is close, all hearing and He answers you. So the Prophet prohibited them ﷺ from raising their voices because it distracts and annoys those around you. And he also said in an authentic hadith, do not raise your voices against one another in Quran. Because if I'm reading my Quran, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and you're next to me, you're going to say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and I'm going to raise my voice so that I would not be distracted by you. And this is not what the Quran was made, was revealed for. This is distracting people, annoying people, confusing people, and this is totally prohibited. You read in a voice that is sufficient for you to hear yourself. He cannot know what I'm saying. He knows that I'm reciting something, but he cannot be distracted by that. So this is permissible and not what the people are doing. Muhammad from the US, he says, the job of food delivery, is it halal or haram? Akhi, this is too generic. If a person is certain that he's delivering haram food, the income and the job is haram. If a person is certain that he's delivering halal food, the income and the job is halal. If he doesn't know, then the default is it's halal until proven otherwise. So I can deliver it. But if I know that this restaurant sells pork, I cannot deliver anything for them. And when I say it's halal by default, in the sense that I have a shipment from a courier to deliver to this house. I don't know what's in it. There's no problem in delivering. It can be a bottle of wine. I don't know. And it can be a golden necklace. Anything could go. This is halal to deliver as long as I don't know as a courier, as a delivery boy. But when the restaurant sells beer, sells alcohol, sells pork, sells haram food, I cannot work there because the chances of the food that I'm taking might be more than 50% haram. So I can't work for such an outlet, and Allah knows best. Muhammad from the Philippines says, a traveler who resides in a hotel next to a masjid and he hears the adhan, is he obliged to attend the prayer? It's an issue of dispute. Some people say that a traveler is exempted from praying in the masjid, similarly to a woman, to a slave, and to someone who's sick. He has a legitimate excuse to skip it. Other scholars, like Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen and other scholars, say that the hadith of the blind man is a general hadith. So a blind man comes to the Prophet ﷺ, asks for permission to pray home because he's blind, he doesn't have a guide to lead him, and Medina has a lot of insects and snakes, etc. It's scary. So the Prophet says, yes, you have permission. Just before the man left the masjid, the Prophet called him back again, ﷺ, and he said, do you hear the adhan? The man said, yes. So the Prophet said, you must respond, you must answer the adhan in the masjid. I don't find any permission for you to skip the prayer. So these scholars said that a traveler who is residing, who's not traveling from a city to city, no, he's residing in the city, but he's still a traveler for a day or two or more. And the masjid is adjacent to him, he hears the adhan, he's obliged to attend. And this is the most authentic opinion, and Allah knows best. Farzana from Australia, she says, is studying sciences at school haram? Because there are people who say that studying at school is haram, especially sciences. This is awkward. Maybe these guys want us to live in the Stone Ages, in cages. They don't want us to progress and be advanced. How would we reach these industries and these technologies without studying sciences? Now, maybe your question, Farzana, is not complete. Maybe these people were targeting certain sciences such as biology that teaches Darwinism, and or teaching physics, or talking about physics that, or mathematics that claim that there isn't any such thing as infinity, or that there isn't any creator. For example, I don't know. This is different than generically accusing all sciences of being haram. This is not true. Chemistry, physics, math, biology, all of these are sciences that are needed for today's advancement and progression among the nations. What is haram? We have to identify it and exclude it, or at least tell the students that this is haram. So if you're studying in Australia and your kids go to school, you can't take them all out of school and prepare them to be janitors for the rest of their lives. They have to go to school, or they have to do homeschooling if the schools are mixed and haram. But when studying biology and they come to the concept that the origin of man is ape or a monkey, like they claim, we tell them that this is totally wrong and false. When they study English literature and they talk about Greek gods or the likes, we tell them that this is nonsense. We have Tawheed, we have monotheism, Allah is the only God worthy of being worshipped, etc. But this is what you're studying at school, and we have to answer it accordingly so that we can get a degree and then have a life. But to come and say that, no, all sciences are haram, and if you believe in sciences, you don't believe in God, this is rubbish. Nashim from Philippines, he says, what's the ruling on a practice that a lot of the Muslims in his country and elsewhere do, where in weddings they tend to take photos of the bride, of women, they take video clips, they shoot the whole thing with their adornment, with their makeup, with their beauty, with their dancing, and they have background music. So there's music being played. This is un-Islamic. This is totally prohibited in Islam. Any man with an ounce of jealousy would not allow his daughter, sister, or wife to be filmed. They would not want me to look at them as beautiful as they are in a wedding night. This is against human nature. Men who walk next to their women when they're fully dressed in revealing clothes, putting makeups, false eyelashes, wearing their hair in a certain way, and they walk like a peacock, proud of their missus, and people are looking at her for free, enjoying what they see, and maybe taking pictures of her, and they don't have any remorse. Such people are not men. When you don't have this jealousy in you, you're not a proper Muslim, let alone a man. No man would allow this. And you'll be shocked about how many so-called males exist in the world. If you go to beaches and you see women in their bikinis, what is this? And their men are fine with that. They are fine because they don't have any shame. They don't have any shyness in their heart. They're dead inside. And this is why if her ex-boyfriend comes and hugs her and kisses her in front of him, so yeah, we're civilized. It's okay. It's a free country. And if he takes her for dinner, just to recap on old time's sake, it's okay. Who knows? Maybe he gets lucky. A'udhu billah. Muslims are not like this. Muslims have honor, have dignity because of their Islam, not because they are Muslims by ethnicity, because their religion teaches them to be men of pride, women of bashfulness and shyness. And this is why they are the best in societies when it comes to family relationships, when it comes to kinship, when it comes to respect, etc. And may Allah Azza wa Jal rectify the affairs of all human beings. Shihab from Bangladesh, he says, I came when the Imam was in the position of ruku', and I don't know whether I was with him in ruku' or not. Because the minute I went for ruku', he said, Sami Allahu liman hamida. So I'm doubtful. Akhi, one of the three scenarios. Number one, you come and the Imam is in ruku'. The moment you say Allahu Akbar, you're certain that you and him were in the same position of ruku'. Then your rak'ah is valid. Second scenario, you come and you say Allahu Akbar and you know 100% that you did not catch the rak'ah. Then you have to pray a rak'ah for that one you missed, because this one is not valid. The third scenario is the Imam is in ruku'. You come and say Allahu Akbar and you're doubtful. Did I or didn't I? And here we have to ask you, what is your gut feeling? If your gut feeling is, I did catch him. In this case, you have to prostrate 2 prostrations after the salam if you have missed any other rak'ah, not this one. If you did not miss, if this was the first rak'ah, then your prayer is valid. No sujood sahw for you. What about if I was inclined that I didn't catch it? Then you have to offer a new rak'ah for that. What about if I'm doubtful, 50% here, 50% there? In this case, you must consider that you did not attain, you did not catch up with the rak'ah, and you have to offer another rak'ah, and you also have to offer prostration of forgetfulness before concluding your prayer. Mihwish, a man who's angry from Allah Azza wa Jal. He always complains and he threatens that he will leave the deen because Allah is not answering, Allah is not responding to him. Who gives a what? You want to leave the deen? Leave the deen. Who cares, akhi? Yeah. Do you think that anyone would care if you express your ungratefulness to Allah? If you express your blasphemous thoughts? Do you think anybody would care? Who cares if you go to hell? Go to hell. This is your problem. When you don't know who you are addressing, when you don't know who you are dealing with, this means that you are not a Muslim to begin with. So you can ask Allah Azza wa Jal, you can make dua, you can complain, you can become angry, you can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, give or take a few decades, maybe you'll die at 60, maybe you'll die at 70, then it's hell for eternity for you, because you're not a Muslim. Akhi, Islam is to submit your will to Allah. Are you submitting your will to Allah? Yes, I am. I'm praying, I'm reading the Quran. Are you submitting your will to Allah, or are you complaining? Are you submitting your will to Allah, or you're judging and rejecting whatever Allah has decreed upon you, and you're interrogating Allah, why are you doing this to me? Who are you to speak to Allah like this? If you speak to someone who's older than you, like myself, I wouldn't accept this. Nobody wants to take any crap from any Tom, Dick, or Harry, let alone speak to Allah like this. So, akhi, if you want to become angry, if you want to leave the deen, be my guest. Who cares? We don't need you. You're the biggest loser. You're the one on the losing end, and you're the one who's going to hell for eternity. Now you have to get yourself straightened up before it's too late. You have to think, what is this? Is there a God to begin with? Because if there is, then this is not the attitude to communicate with God. This is not the attitude to ask Allah Azza wa Jal. What you're doing is totally prohibited and an act of blasphemy. rectify your affairs, try to freshen up and know who you're talking to, try to ask Allah, show your humility and poverty to Allah Azza wa Jal. Then whatever happens, this is predestined by Allah. You accept that. Because life on earth is very limited for us. We have few days, maybe few hours, maybe few minutes, and then we're gone. Yet we will face whatever we had done in the past, and we shall be happy or we shall be remorseful. It doesn't make any difference because the test is over. So, best of luck for you. Abdurrahman from India. If you're asking about tahleel or halala, as they call it in Urdu, this is totally prohibited. We know that divorce is one of three. After the third divorce takes place, a woman cannot go back to her husband or to reconcile with. The marriage is finally over. The only way for them to get back together is for her to marry a second man, a real true marriage for the sake of marrying a man, not for the sake of getting back to her ex. And then after they live together for some time and they consummate the marriage, and she really doesn't want that husband or he doesn't want her, and divorce takes place, the iddah is over, only then she can get married to the first husband. To go and hire someone like a rented goat, as the Prophet described, so I divorced my wife 3 times, now I'm remorseful, I want to get back to her, I can't. So I go to a neighbor, a friend, and I give him money. I say, listen, marry her for a one-night stand only, and then divorce her and I'll get back to her. This is invalid marriage and this is unapplicable. Amir from India says, Al-Khallaq and Al-Khaliq, and this needs time. Akhi, this is a name of Allah, a beautiful name, Al-Khallaq and Al-Khaliq. And Al-Khallaq is the one who does this a lot. So it is a form of extravagance. I don't know if it's the right word in English. Sigat mubalagha. So it's superlative. It's so much more. Now, to come and judge and say, Allah Azza wa Jal was there and there was nothing with him. So how could he be named by this? Akhi, Allah is not subjugated to time or location. So you don't get to say that, how is it possible that Allah was the creator or frequently creating when he had no creation? This is his name, Azza wa Jal, and his description. Fidan from Turkey is wearing the cap and the gowns, imitating the priests and the monks. No, this is a cultural thing. And if Muslims are doing it, not imitating, and when they see them, they don't say that these are monks or priests, there's nothing wrong in that. Ala from Canada, he has 2 atheist sons. If they are totally disbelievers, they don't disbelieve in Allah, they're not your sons, and they are not entitled to a penny of your wealth. And if you're in Canada, you have all the right to write a will to your legitimate heirs, your daughters and the other Muslim sons and your wife, and they can easily be excluded for their kufr. Kamil from Saudi, those who die with a tumor in the brain due to cancer, are they part of the shaheed? The answer is no. But this doesn't mean that Allah would not erase their sins and elevate their status in Jannah, because the 7 types are mentioned. So the illnesses that qualify a person to be a martyr are mentioned, and a tumor in the brain is not one of them. Finally, Abdul Aziz from the UK, he says, what is the last time for Maghrib? Because some people in my locality say 20 minutes after sunset. And this is not true. The Prophet told us, in the hadith, where the 5 times were identified of the prayers, he said that when the redness in the west, where the sun has set, when the sun sets, there is a redness in the heaven, in the skies, in the meridian. When this redness disappears and then it's pitch black, this is when the time of Isha begins and the time of Maghrib is over. Now, in the UK, this might be difficult, especially if you are up north. So usually they give 50 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes gap. So if you can visually identify the disappearance of the redness in the meridian, then this is the last time of Maghrib. But definitely it's not 20 minutes after sunset. This is all the time we have until we meet tomorrow after Asr time, Makkah zone. I leave you في أمان الله. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.